How's it hanging there, fans? This is ESC. No, not Extreme Sean Club, although, hello, welcome to our new host. Today, on the Extreme Scrutiny Club, we are talking about the joys of controversial robots. Robots that have made a name for themselves, maybe in not the most charming of ways. Maybe it's for a positive reason. Maybe it's, something to do with production interfering with them. Or maybe it is just that this robot has done something shady as fuck. Joining us today, we have our usual slew of hosts, being myself, Reira, the Empress.
Oliver, the Dark Knight.
There is no Sean here. This is me. No, hello everyone. It's me, Sean.
Welcome to the podcast, Sean.
Hey, I'm here. Thank you.
And joining us for a very exclusive ESC only, no cooties allowed in here, is our wonderful Neditor.
Hi, yeah, it's me, Ned.
Our wonderful Neditor, who joined us first on our Chris Rose special. And you are now joining us in proper for the wonders of this episode. You are our guest, despite being part of ESC. So I guess we have to treat you like royals. So I've got this bowl of shelled Skittles for you, and 5 M&Ms sorted into Wooberg order.
He's no longer an editor anymore. He's a guest. He's coming out of his cage and he's doing just fine. You're keeping that in. You're keeping that in.
so friend. Let's get the ball moving.
I'm basically on the council, but I'm not granted the rank of Jedi.
Let's get the wonder of controversial robots rolling. Who wants to go first?
I think I want to start first, just because mine is a little bit more of a minor controversy. So I feel like let's start off small, basically.
So in the words of Patrick Robery, you have 3 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock.
So the robot that I brought to the table is Battle Rat from classic Comedy Central series BattleBots. And basically, this robot is hardly like the most interesting robot to look at. I should point out, I'm going to be arguing for this to go into the pit, but like it's one of the earlier 360-degree lifters that ever existed. Not the first, the house robot from pre-TV Robot Wars, big up. But like it's one of the earlier ones, and you'd think I like lifters, so maybe I'll give this a fair shake. But there's one thing that, well, firstly, its fights are ridiculously boring. It uses the lifter a little bit, but then it will just wedge the opponents, push them into the wall, and then will just stay there for as long as they can before having to pull away. And that's their entire strategy. But onto the controversy. Their controversy is in their fight with Nightmare in Season 4.0. Now, basically, this fight was fairly interesting. Nightmare took out the lifting arm of Battle Rat. That was completely out of it. But Battle Rat did push Nightmare around the box. Not a lot, because it did the whole holding strategy. And I think because of that, the judges voted in favor of Nightmare. Now, the thing that makes this controversial is Jim Smentowski goes to shake their hands. What does he get? No way! There's no way that could have happened. No way! It's like, they're like so salty that they lost. And it's like, I get it. I get that you can be upset, you can be crestfallen that your bot lost, but you have to have some sportsmanship. You have to have some decency when you're going up against an opponent. And that, for me, it's like between having really boring fights and being really unsportsmanlike, that's why I think Battle Rat should go in the pit. All
right, you've got a minute left, Sean, if you want to jump anything else on.
Oh yeah, here's another point I made before this recording. Like, okay, so firstly, I'll back up the judge's decision. While they did hold Nightmare and push them around a few times, because they did so little, I can absolutely see why the judges went for it this way. But also, what I noted before this recording, judge's decision, you could argue either way. Salty team, have I found the BattleBots equivalent to Bolt from the Blue?
Somewhere out there, they're still bitter.
I'm sure the team is nice. I'm sure the team are lovely people, really, and that was just a slipped up moment. But because of that, as nice as they may be in real life, the bot's boring, the team was salty, pit. Done.
All right, that is literally perfectly 3 minutes and Robery seconds. So it is time. Oliver, Ned?
Wasn't there a instance in Reboot BattleBots where one team didn't shake the hand of another? I don't recall exactly which fight that was.
I feel like it might well have been related to the Ice Wave Yeti fight.
No.
It was Lockjaw and Overhaul.
Overhaul, that was it.
Felt that Lockjaw attacked them after time, so it just kind of.
But onto the topic at hand. Looking at this one particular fight itself, it really very much depends on on what your judging criteria are, because Nightmare clearly has the damage. Battle Rat has done nothing at all with its weapon throughout the entire fight. It is controlling the fight. It's a silver featureless wedge, after all, getting underneath Nightmare and managing to keep mostly underneath the disc and stopping the disc from spinning up. But I hesitate to really call it too controlled, even though it is controlling the pace of the fight and what Nightmare does. It tries to push. It spent about 30 seconds at the end of the fight trying to get it underneath the pulverizer and still doesn't manage to line up a shot.
That's my thing, really. That's the thing. I think the judges, well, you can argue the other thing. I'm not going to say you can't argue Battle Rat won. I think it's perfectly fair to say Nightmare won that.
Yeah, and as for aggression, it's clearly driving into Nightmare and keeping the wedge in the weapon and stopping the fight. It's taking the fight to Nightmare. But it's also running robots into the arena wall and holding them there, not even counting to 10. Come on.
Where's Nate when we need him?
Exactly. Like, it's doing everything right, but it's doing it in such a
That's the other thing.
boring.
I like wedges. I want to make that clear. But if you're going to have a wedge, you better drive it bloody entertainingly.
The Battle Rat team certainly do not do that. And when you're up against Jim Smentowski, who, by all accounts that I've heard, is a nice, fairly decent bloke. I've had no interaction with him, but that's the impression I seem to get. Deal with the judges in your own time. That's fair enough. And it's fine to be, incredulous at a decision and not believe, not agree with it. You've only got to look at the face of like Mike Jeffries and Hal Rucker after the 2018 Last Chance Rumble. But it's not your opponent's fault that the judges.
I'm just gonna say, I do quite like Battle Rat because it's for me, it's a concept we haven't really seen before, apart from like maybe Mousetrap in Robot Wars. But I say it kind of does its job more effectively because it's more of a lifter rather than a grabber. I do like the potential of Battle Rat. I definitely can separate the art from the artist. So the team being absolute salty dickheads, I can totally look past. But it is driven kind of boringly. I will say that it does kind of struggle with the whole Razor situation of taking opponents
Exactly,
and not letting
really.
them go. And control-wise, considering that they couldn't even get Nightmare into the pulverizer and stuff, it just doesn't show great control, and that's literally the entire point of the robot.
This is the thing. It's an interesting, boring robot. The fact that the lifter goes a full 360.
I just want to say, just real quick, I will agree with Ned in so much as that the robot concept-wise is good, because I've seen it in other fights as well, and the lifter seems fairly strong. So I just want to give Ned fair dues there. He does make a good point there, but otherwise, yeah.
I mean, the robot it's one of those things, again, to try not to be biased here. It seems to be a great in-concept robot, but unfortunately it seems to suffer from perhaps maybe the bite force issue, maybe toned down quite a lot of this robot is good, but it is not exciting.
I don't really think it's really designed to be that way. It's designed to win fights, not really be dead entertaining. It's an issue a lot of robots do have, especially in the earlier days.
Yeah.
But you look at the robots it was up against. It was up against Overkill and Nightmare and Tazbot. These are great, interesting designs that are fun to watch fight. But when you put them against Battle Rat, I'm just yawning and trying
This
to skip
isn't
to
an
the
insult to
end.
robo games, but Battle Rat feels like a robo game style of robot. In like everyone said, not really meant to be entertaining because it's just a live show thing. It's just meant to do well and win fights.
Thing is, though, robo game style robots was basically BattleBots in the early days, because BattleBots is pretty much like back then is pretty much what robo games was sort of in modern times. Yes, I know it makes me sad as well.
Who can say whether
It does have a slightly better winning record of 4-3. I mean, yes, one of them was against Crash Test Dummy.
Oh,
So,
Jesus.
like looking at its opponents, it's not got the strongest showing.
That's the other thing. Yeah, sorry.
I think it could have had a bit more potential, but I just think it wasn't driven very well or very excitingly.
All right. In which case, I am going to push you guys to a vote. So, what do we all think?
I think we can all agree that unsportsmanlike behaviour, while it may not be a true reflection of who the team are, and they may genuinely be nice people, unsportsmanlike behaviour, especially on TV where it's broadcast for all the world to see, it just ain't cool. Don't be a dick, fellas. Battle Rat, it's going to the pit.
Hey, don't be a dick.
Oh god, this is when I suddenly like just turn on everyone and say, "Actually, I'm going to vote for him." No, I'm not going to do that.
I mean, you're fitting right in at home.
Oh, I don't think I need to be asked what I think of Battle Rat in this situation. Obviously, Pit.
I think I probably have the most sort of interesting takes over here, but if I'm judging it based on the controversy, like there's never a need to be salty about like a judge's decision. Like even if you feel like you got kind of snubbed, it's never a good thing to just not even be sportsman. Like it's not Jim Smentowski's fault that you lost the fight; it's the judges. So just shake your opponent's hands if you lose. Take it like a man
Yeah.
or woman or whatever. Just take it well.
Take it like a guy, gal, or non-binary pal. But yeah, so okay, that's everyone.
I love how there's two 360-degree lifters in BattleBots that have had controversial judges' decisions.
No
Yeah.
sportsmanship means, no respect. And no respect means no one's going to have any respect back for you. So with a expected, I'd like to think, 0-3 there, Battle Rat finds a new home in the pit. And I'm pretty sure that, if the Battle Rat team is listening, which would be interesting to know if they are, you can definitely shake our hands on that one.
It's nothing personal if you are watching, but I'm sure you also know that wasn't the best look.
That wasn't cool. Wasn't cool. So, Ned has determined to go last. So, Oliver.
That puts me next. My robot is... I think it's controversial that I'm bringing it, and also it's going to be controversial because I want to put it in the pit. I am here to
no.
talk about perhaps one of
boy.
the most controversial robots of the past few years. It has had controversy on both the show and the judging criteria of BattleBots, and sadly from a more toxic portion of the fan base. I am bringing Chomp.
So then, Oliver, you have decided to open up one of the biggest cans of worms in current BattleBots.
I am afraid I have. We're bringing controversial robots. I am going straight for the jugular, and I am bringing one of the most controversial robots.
Oliver, this is my first episode. This is my first episode as one part of ESC. That I do not. That you do not need to
Please
chuck
be
me in at the
gentle.
deep end here.
It's his first time. Please be gentle.
Oh my god!
Right, can we stop the
It's
time?
it's like turning around and then it's like turning around saying "be gentle" and just seeing the dildo from Saints Row the Third.
Okay. All right, Oliver. Your 3 minutes and 10 bonus seconds that I will keep in my pocket are on the clock. Let's go.
Firstly, I will come out unapologetically and say that anybody who says Chomp is a straight up bad robot with no irredeemable features, that Zoe Stevenson is a bad builder and shouldn't be on BattleBots because of her skills or because of her gender, get to fuck. Get to the pit. I'm not here to talk about that controversy. I'm here to talk about a robot that was thrust into the limelight, I think, largely because of the active weapon rule of BattleBots Series 2, the ABC Series 2. And surprisingly enough, I'm not here to talk about the Disco Inferno fight that everybody gets so excited over, because I think that was a pretty fair win for Chomp. It demonstrated good self-writing. It didn't really lose control much throughout the fight, and Disco Inferno was quite slow and ponderous. It only really jumped on Chomp when Chomp fell over. And that's something that I will bring up. But the fight that I really want to bring to our attention is the Bite Force fight, surprisingly enough.
Right.
Chomp has got an incredible weapon. That is something that I will not and cannot deny. The LiDAR AI system is very good at striking a robot when it's in its way. It's perhaps less good at maybe preempting a strike and firing the axe before the robot's in the way, but this was based on me looking in detail at its 2016 fights, and I'm sure with a piece of software like that, it's something that you've got to keep evolving over time. But you look at that Bite Force fight, and aside from the one hit that Chomp gets in at the beginning on the weapon belt, and the few hits that Chomp manages once Bite Force runs over its own weapon chain, for the rest of the fight, so for, say, the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Bite Force is being an incredibly effective wedge. Chomp is a difficult design for them to have gotten right. When you look at the 2015 build, it was incredibly complex and lacking in a lot of areas, and for them to come back with a robot that's got perhaps one of the most powerful axes ever built, using pneumatics nonetheless, which is a difficult thing to use in BattleBots since that CO2 is banned, and fitting it all into the shell that it was in was quite the achievement. But I think ultimately the narrow base meant that it often landed awkwardly when it fired the hammer, and Bite Force pushing it around.
Do you just want to warn you, Oliver? You are just about to run out of time.
Well, I will wrap up my point. There's a lot to talk about with this robot, but I think the robot landing awkwardly meant that a lot of robots, especially good wedges like Bite Force, were able to get underneath it, push it around, and control the fight, which made it very difficult for Chomp in the 2018 series, where it faced a lot of control bots. I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is that it had a lot of good things, but the shell itself was poorly optimized, and the controversies of robots being able to control fights without an active weapon in BattleBot Series 2 was very frustrating, and I'm glad it's something that they've addressed in future rule sets.
All right, guys. How do you want to tackle this?
Right, okay. It's weird because Chomp is one I'm very on the fence about. On one hand, the axe is powerful, the LiDAR actually works, and I can definitely see AI becoming the next big evolution in robotic combat. I can see AI being the thing that's definitely going to be used a lot, and I can definitely applaud Zoe Stevenson for trying to pioneer that design. I think that Zoe's a fantastic builder. I'm not saying anything to sort of shun her, but Chomp is just such a fundamentally flawed robot. There's no real way to make Chomp effective in its current state with the current weight limit, which is why I think the Walker Chomp is probably going to fix all the issues. Because either you have to make the axe less powerful, and I don't think with a less powerful axe it's going to be able to do anything really, or you have to make the bots wider. And I remember talking to Craig Croucher about this in the Rebuttal Wars chats back when Chomp was actually on air, and he literally said that it had to be like sort of Mecha Rampage levels of wide, just to sort of not fall over so much, which I can sort of see and believe. So it's a really hard one to tackle, and I don't know how I would really do a better job with Chomp, but I just think as a design, it's so fundamentally flawed, and I don't think there's too much you can really do with it. So I'm just not sure. I'm really on the fence with it.
Yeah, you mentioned the Mecha Rampage point to me last night, but looking at the way that Chomp fought, looking back on its fights, I've definitely gained more of an appreciation for it. You know, it's got a reputation for flopping around all over the place, but those little Shremek arms are incredibly effective, especially when the hammer is able to do a full 360. And the way that they were developed over time, yeah, they struggled in the 2018 season. But the Remars event, the updated Shremek arms, was certainly much more impressive. The only times it really struggled and flopped around was when it either lost a Shremek arm against Yeti or got stuck in the kill slots. But yeah, looking at it, I've heard lots of comments about, you know, the weight distribution being all wrong, it being too tall. The weight is clearly very much in the bottom of the robot, but when it fires the axe, it seems to just always land slightly awkwardly. I don't think that base needs to be very much wider at all if they had the weight to accommodate it. Obviously, that would involve other design changes across the robot, but I don't think it needs to be much wider in order for it to just land so that it is more often than not going to land on its wheels. Because really, it's when it falls on its side that other robots take advantage. It's like I was saying in the Bite Force fight, because it's so Bite Force has got such good pushing power and so low wedge looks. It was just round the side all the time. Every time Chomp tried to fire the hammer, it was exposing the ground clearance, and Paul was taking advantage.
I would like to interject a unbiased point here in the fact that you do have to remind yourselves that these things are always constantly considered during the design phase of a robot, and the fact that this happened in this way was something that would have been completely and utterly expected, and would have likely been worked around. I think that unfortunately the box itself brings with it challenges that are not entirely plannable for. And I think that the Bite Force fight is definitely an example of, to, you know, use a phrase that I think is a little unfair in this situation, but is the best I can come up with, flying by the seat of your pants a little.
Yeah, and it's definitely a case with robot designs that you're not necessarily going to be 100% sure how it's all going to play out until you get in the ring. And I think ultimately that's what the point I'm trying to make with Chomp is that It's like a lab experiment versus a field experiment. In a controlled environment, that robot is one of the most powerful robots in the sport and will win fights every time. But with all of the variables of the battle box, with the floor not being quite right, or the kill source slots, or like lots of little tiny variables that you can't account for, like it not being a perfect situation, I think that's perhaps why Chomp struggles a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, that argument can then be sent back to you as to, if the floor was better, would Nelly have done better against, say, Deep Six or Rainbow? There's a million and one reasons can go wrong. I'm not going to interject whether or not that's fair on the argument, because I'm going to be a good referee for once, even though it hurts me to do so, because I have a lot of opinions on this particular situation. But yeah, do remember that there's a lot to the battle box that can't be planned for.
I'm going to come in now and basically. So I will state for the record to start off with, I'm not going to go and say like Chomp is one of my favorite robots, but I will say I do also have an appreciation for Chomp. Like for me, well, firstly, I love axe bots very much. So like they might be one of my favorite types of robots, but like I also really like robots that try something even just a little bit different, because even if it doesn't work out very well, just the fact that some people are willing to try these different things, often it can be very exciting to see, and it gives you stuff like Sawblaze, for instance. Like I remember a few years ago, before Sawblaze started taking over, people thought saws were useless in the modern scene, and Chomp is trying a lot of things, like you said, Oliver, with the AI and whatnot. I think the one thing is that we've kind of strayed away from, because the conversation has become more about Chomp as a whole. I'm going to try and reel it back in. Basically, my thought on Chomp itself is I like Chomp. I definitely agree it's flawed, but I like that they're trying these different things. But I'm going to try and reel it back to what your main point was, which was the controversy of the Bite Force fight itself, which I can begrudgingly, because I like the thought that Bite Force has lost to something. I love Bite Force as well. Bite Force is a well-made robot, but I don't like robots being infallible. Whereas I like the fact that there is that one loss to Bite Force's name. I could absolutely see where you're coming from. This was back in the time when I believe Sawblaze lost to, like, maybe not the same series, but when Sawblaze lost to Razorback for the very similar reasons. And it's like, and very clearly the judges' decisions have been since revised, because it was very clearly not a very agreeable scoring system. And yeah, I'm basically, my point I'm dancing around is I can totally see what you mean when it comes to the Bite Force fight. As much as I can defend Chomp, I think the judge's decision was definitely skewed a bit back then towards, like you said, active weapons.
My points really are twofold. Firstly is that I'm kind of bringing Chomp, and it's a shame to have to do this, but I'm kind of bringing Chomp as the face of the producer active weapon rule, because it was the robot that seemed to benefit most from it. All of the controversy around the Disco Inferno fight, which I think Chomp deserved to win, the Bite Force fight, and then the Yeti fight is basically the same fight as the Bite Force fight, with a powerful pushing robot that keeps coming on and on and on at Chomp, except Yeti is Yeti and it's got its active weapon running all fight. So I'm kind of bringing Chomp as the face of that, but also a lot of the controversy around its design. And I will say that the way that Chomp was in 2016, I think it got all the success it deserved. Looking at the upgrades that it had from 2015, it's an incredible leap forward. I think the sad thing is, because of the way that things went with BattleBots filming, and there being such a gap between the third series but no confirmed series until the last minute, Chomp didn't have the time put into probably a full rebuild that it needed. I feel like it's just so close to being at least a top 8 robot. There are things in the design that will always pull it back, and yeah, I'm very excited to see what comes from this team next, now that they have the time to properly.
I think that's one of the most important things to take away from this, the fact that I don't think you've brought Chomp to put it in the pit because of it being Chomp. I think you've brought Chomp to put it into the pit for reasons that have gone on from it, if that makes sense. And the fact that this team has some of the best engineering chops behind it of any team in BattleBots, like, I can't talk enough about the fact that Zoe Stevenson is an inspiration to myself and many other builders. However,
She's really
you
pushing
know,
the envelope.
exactly, absolutely. And I mean, if you've listened to the recent Behind the Bots episode with like, she actually talks a lot about some of the stuff she does outside of BattleBots, and it's equally exciting in the real worlds of science and engineering as well. Both her and her husband, who's also on Chomp, are both amazing engineers. I don't think that you putting it in towards the pit is detracting from that. And again, that's me trying to be as unbiased as possible.
I'm going to compare it to a film because, I mean, obviously, I'm quite the film guy. Spoiler alert on YouTube. Check us out.
Oh, wow, Ned. Beautiful.
For balls like that, you should subscribe.
There's a film that came out last year called Yesterday. I don't know if you've
Quite
seen
enjoyed
it.
yesterday.
Okay, essentially, if you haven't seen it, it's a film where a guy is basically caught up in a storm, and then like the world around him changes to the point where the Beatles don't exist, and then he basically goes and writes all the Beatles songs and gets all
Yes.
the credit and stuff. It's a really, really stupid concept that doesn't work at all, but they sort of do quite a lot with the movie, I think, to make it work reasonably well. But the issue is, the core of the movie is flawed to fuck, and that's my main criticism with it. And it's the exact same thing for Chomp. They've built, I think, quite a nice robot out of it, but the core is so flawed. And I know that it's different in different test conditions to the actual battle box, but my thing is, you don't see like Blacksmith doing like massive like bungee jumps in the air. You don't see like Ragnarok doing, well, you didn't see Ragnarok doing anything.
I'm
but-
going to stop you there just to actually fight back a little bit there. All axe bots do that, just they do it to different degrees. All axe bots jump in the air and it's a completely normal axe bots. Of course, you'd prefer the force to be transferred into the opposing bot, but your bot jumping up in the air is something that is absolutely unstoppable in some cases for axe bots. And you can see it at every level of axe bot, all the way down to Angst, all the way up to, like you've used as examples, Ragnarok, and even Nelly. If you watch any of the Nelly videos from Stevenage, that is what happens when we don't get to transfer the force correctly into an opponent.
I think the point Ned's trying to get at is that the weapon system and the AI on Chomp are second to none, but the robot itself as a delivery system for that weapon, it isn't the complete package.
And I get that jumping up into the air is like natural, but when it's to that extent every single time, then I think there's just, I don't know, like there is kind of a limit that kind of needs to be put in place.
It's difficult to put that limit in. Engineering wise, it's very difficult.
It absolutely is. And I think for a robot like Chomp, it even more so because you've got a lot of stuff to put in there in terms of the AI and you've got a much more powerful hammer. But that's exactly what I'm saying when I say it's a flawed design.
There's a very idealist outlook, Ned, and I respect that, but it's a very idealist outlook of this robot has a flaw in the fact that it can't do something that most robots can't. That's the only thing I'll say. The only judge weigh in I will do there is
it's a very conceptually flawed, I think, thing. And I do genuinely think, as I said before, that Walker Chomp, I think, could probably change this because they can do a lot more with the extra weight.
I'm very excited to see what they come up with with what will be a wide, stable base. And are they doing like a pressure drop style hammer?
I think they're doing turrets, I think.
It's a turret, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So pressure drop style hammer. And if they can pack the power that 2016 Chomp had
I'm
into
looking
that,
forward to that.
I think it has more from what I've been told.
oh wow.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to say I do have my own opinion, but I think it's best if I leave that my final stance until like the actual vote, because I don't think this is one that's necessarily I'm going to be budged on.
So let's drag this to a vote.
Oh yeah, okay, so I probably will put it in the pit just because conceptually I don't really see a way you can change the flaws of it, where like with quite a lot of bots with their flaws you can go, okay, if you just do this differently, these flaws would not be nearly as apparent. With Chomp, I just don't see it being as big of an option, so because of that I am going to have to put it in the pit.
Oh, God. For me, okay, I'm going to say Arena, and I want to try and explain why, because like there's been a lot of very, very good points maybe in the pit. But for me, I'm going to refer back to the whole thing, like with the whole Battle Rat decision. I don't feel right judging Chomp for things that are outside of its control. Like, Chomp didn't make the judges go that way. While I totally see the points everyone has made on the whole thing, to me, I feel like at the end of the day, I think there's only so much Chomp can do about these things, and while I get that it's more of a thing about like the modern BattleBots judging scheme from that point in time, I still don't think it's right to put Chomp in the pit.
All right, Oliver.
I've got you in the tiebreaker.
This is the first time, I think, on the whole time I've been doing ESC, that the polar opposites of Pit and Arena have both felt so wrong to me. Because Sean's right, I have kind of bought this to represent.
You're kind of punishing Chomp for.
There's a lot of
concept.
things that are beyond Chomp's control, such as BattleBots producer rules and judges' decisions that are not in its control. And I said that for Battle Rat earlier in the episode. You can't blame the team for a judge's decision they didn't have a part in, and I will stand by that. However, Ned also has points in that there's so many factors that go into making this Chomp what it is. I think what we've seen from Chomp is perhaps realistically, in the real world, the best we could expect. Having such a big break and then no build time at all, for them to be able to tweak and improve Chomp going into 2018, I think is, again, it's just not the robot's fault. And having to fit a large gas cylinder and everything in the robot the way that it is, it's kind of not the robot's fault, in that they've got these goals to build this incredibly powerful hammer and AI system. Yeah, there's so much that's beyond its control.
Holy shit, Oliver, why did you have to bring the absolute single heaviest topic onto this podcast? On the next show, I just want to let you all know we'll be looking for a person to replace Oliver. So if you want to,
I'm gonna have to make a decision.
Oh God. I want to say I do want to make it clear. While I may say Arena, I'm not saying you haven't made very good points yourself.
Right. No,
Listen. It's down to Oliver. It's his vote that decides the fate. If Reira suddenly blocks Oliver on all platforms, we'll know why.
That feels like a threat.
I can neither confirm nor deny that would be something to do, because that would be me being a biased judge.
See, if we were judging Chomp purely on the innovation that it brought, or the power that it was in its weapon, or the potential that it has for the future, it would be an easy Arena. But because we're judging it more as a robot, and because that's what a lot of the controversy is about, it makes it so much harder. So I'm gonna kind of split things down the middle here, and I'm gonna say, firstly, can we send the ABC Series 2 judging criteria to burn in the pit?
I think that's too good for it.
Yeah.
And
the drop zone and then the pit.
Damn it. I'm gonna put the 2016 to 19 version of Chomp. If we're doing tiers of the pit, it's right at the top. And I will happily revisit Chomp come BattleBots 2020. That is that is the hardest decision I've ever had to make on ESC, because you have all made incredible points. And I hate having to make a decision either way on that. But damn, that was heavy.
Yeah, that might have been one of the toughest debates I've ever been on. Like, everyone made some brilliant points.
Yeah, I'm earmarking Chomp for future revisits.
If we see Walker Chomp and Walker Chomp is actually good, I'll be more than happy to open up again and put it in the Arena.
Yeah, I want to say for the record, for the people at home, this isn't me being a Chomp fanboy. Chomp has very much got its own flaws, but I made my point why I think Chomp should have been in the Arena. So I just want to say that to try and combat the oncoming comment firestorm that will happen.
You know, watching a lot of the ABC fights recently in research for this, I have gained a newfound appreciation and respect for this robot. I already had it to some degree, but watching the fights in detail,
it does have a lot going for it, and I hope they can capitalize on it with the newest version.
I feel like it's going to be like Tauron that Jevon brought up in the host special. If they can get the Walker design working as well as we think that they could do, Chomp being proto Walker Chomp will stand it in better stead in hindsight.
For the record, very quietly seething in the corner. I'm not happy with this decision, and there will be future ESC reprimandation when I'm not bound by being unbiased. No, but I have some plans for a future episode now. Oliver, watch your back.
Oh no, Oliver, you're fucked. You're fucked, mate. Oh no.
I mean, the tone's been brought down so much right now that cutting back to my light-hearted thing just kind of seems a
Ned,
bit.
Ned, cheer us all up. Ned, cheer us up, please.
It's gotten so depressing. It's starting to work its way back around to being funny to me because it's gotten that bleak. Ned, please bring it back to normality. I'm begging you.
So I'm unlike these two. I'm actually bringing this robot to put it in the arena. So there's a bit of positivity right here, yeah. Okay, so I was very much conflicted about this robot until Oliver kind of went, "Nah, do it. You've got enough of a point here." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough, I'll do it." I was originally going to go with something like Tornado. That was my very original plan. But I think we can all agree right here, right now, Tornado is a top tier arena robot.
Absolutely.
Well done, Tornado. You got to the arena. Well done.
I was going to make another Pit device joke, but I'll just be serious and say, yeah, Tornado is a
Yeah.
great robot.
I mean-
Okay, move on.
We can bring Tornado on another episode. Absolutely put it in the arena.
Nah, Tornado's already in there. I've just done it. I've just saved you an entire debate. Tornado is in the arena right now.
Tornado can't even fit in the pit anyway.
Exactly.
Like,
Sean, you took my joke. God dang it! I told you I was going
I
to.
know I did, and you can. There's nothing you can do about
I
it.
told you I was going to make that joke. God damn it! You ruined my plans.
The real funniest person is whoever can say the joke the
God damn it.
loudest.
Okay. The great thing is, I think only Oliver kind of knows who I'm bringing, and that's only because he was on a call when it was guessed. I was thinking Tornado's an obvious pick, and it's very boring. We all know it's going to the arena. Then I was thinking maybe like Typhoon 2 or Storm 2. There's a bit more to say about them, but I think it's still very obvious, and it's not quite woke enough. So, with that being said,
I'm just going to say we don't need another long conversation after the last one.
Oh no, trust me,
this would be like a 5-hour podcast.
Trust me, this is going to be something, because I am bringing to the table the Nuts 2 Red Minibot.
Oh my fucking god, I love this.
What?
I'm bringing the Nuts 2 Red Minibot. Nuts 2, great and all. I'm not
Just
talking about today. I'm
the
bringing
red
the Nuts 2
Minibot.
Arena.
Okay,
The
right.
Red
you
Minibot.
have-
Arena. Nuts 2 out of the arena due to Matilda's ass.
I'm just gonna work out the timer on the stopwatch here. So you have minus the 10. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's do this.
Hell yeah. Okay, so I know exactly what you're thinking. The Nuts 2 Red Minibot, how does that count? It's not a real robot. Well, in every way that matters, it is a real robot. Shut your mouth. If it was fighting in its weight class, it counts as a real robot. Its back is hurting from how much it carried Nuts 2 in the main series. Let's be real here. Nuts 2 Red Minibot, the true MVP of the Nuts 2.
To interject, it wasn't just carrying Nuts 2, it was carrying
Carrying
Behemoth
Carbide.
as well.
Oh,
It was carrying a huge weight. Okay, go on. Yeah.
And what does Nuts 2 Red Minibot get for carrying Nuts 2? It gets whacked. It just gets completely whacked by it. But Nuts 2 Red Minibot is such a good friend and a great ally that it just comes back and keeps fighting regardless. Like, this true Chad keeps on battling even when Nuts 2 gets flipped out of the arena. This true Chad, even though he knows he ain't gonna win, he keeps on fighting. He keeps on fighting it out. His big dad is out the arena. He keeps on fighting it in. I think the main controversy here is the Behemoth Carbide incident, because I think that Nuts 2 Red Minibot is the reason why Nuts 2 won that fight, because it's such an absolute big man. So essentially, Nuts 2 may have disabled Carbide, but Behemoth, I think, is too well armoured for Nuts 2 to really have done anything to. And plus, that big scoop at the front, I think, could have just deflected the blows quite easily. I don't see Nuts 2 beating Behemoth. So that's when this absolute big man Chad comes in, opens the pit release, and then Behemoth does a Super Mario going down a pipe, just do.
Hey, no, we've both stolen each other's jokes. Woo! Hey!
That's what you get, Sean. You get what you fucking deserve.
And I'm happy about it. Woo! Joke fest!
Welcome to ESC, Sean.
Real BS comes in though when it sort of pins Carbide, because that's like Carbide was actually almost counted out there. I think it was 2 seconds or 1 second to go on the clock. So if Carbide got counted out there, then that would have been just the most bullshit thing, because that's one active robot getting under another active robot and not moving just to win, which is just not fair. It also transcends time and space, because it went into Andrea Gelatelli's dreams, and it came to her in a vision, and then she woke up in a cold sweat and she went, what if this, but with fire? And that is how Shaman was born. Nuts 2 Red Minibot is the reason why we got Shaman. You might be thinking now, so the Nuts 2 Red Minibot is all well and good, But what about the Nuts 2 white minibot? No. The Nuts 2 white minibot is a scam, it is a fraud, and it does not deserve to walk the same light as the Nuts 2 red minibot. It is absolute garbage, and it just eats the fucking
Right, Ned.
clout that the Nuts 2 red minibot worked
Ned.
so hard to deserve.
Ned,
Fuck the Nuts 2 white minibot.
I love you,
Fuck
but
it. Us mere mortals are not worthy of the Nuts 2 red minibot. It goes
Ned.
to the arena, and that's where it stays.
I'm gonna let
Fuck
you
the Nuts
finish.
2 white minibot.
But your time is up.
Holy
That's all I've
shit.
got to say on the matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think with it, when it comes to like the carbide incident, which is probably the most controversial one of two things is going on there. Either the producers are being incredibly inconsistent and allowing a small active robot to pin a big robot and let it get counted out, which it goes against all like precedent for combat prior to this point, or it's a countdown that was added in after filming in the edit, in which case it's just manufactured bullshit controversy.
I mean, either way, it still kind of counts, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, God. I'm going to say this. I don't think I can ever be truly mad about that fight, despite the fact that I was hoping Behemoth could keep going at Carbide and seeing what would happen. I got to say, like, one thing I always think about when I think of that fight is a behind-the-scenes recording that I saw where a bunch of people were watching the fight, and when Carbide's weapon stopped working, like, you just heard everyone go, Carbide's weapon stopped working! Go, Rory! Go, Rory! Yeah! Oh my God. I don't think I can ever be mad about that situation. Now, I think what it's likely was, if I had to guess, is what with the Nuts 2 minibot being as small as it was, it might have had a little bit of trouble getting out from underneath a robot that's a lot heavier than it. And then I think it probably was, I'm not saying for certain, but I feel like the countdown was edited in afterwards. So still controversy, but I definitely think it was likely manufactured controversy. Or perhaps, it's hard to say, but that's my thought.
Most of the reason I think why people aren't really as sort of angry about the controversies is because it's such an unexpected and beautiful win for Nuts that we all wanted to see. That's why people aren't really annoyed about the controversy. But I mean, taking that aside, the minibot opened the pit, the minibot wedged under Carbide, and whether or not it was manufactured for entertainment purposes, there was still a countdown there, and that's.
I mean, you mentioned how Behemoth would face against Nuts. Fun fact about Behemoth, the grabber from Series 9 was specifically designed to deal with Nuts from Series 8.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's quite interesting,
Yeah,
actually.
it really puts the design in context that all of their additions for that from Series 9 were basically to fight the robots they fought in Series 8. And I think had they gone one-on-one in a third place playoff with Nuts, it's quite possible they would have used the unused axe with the lighter armor combo.
I can imagine that, actually, yeah. My only thing is they obviously do have to face Carbide as well. It isn't just Nuts 2 and the godly minibot.
Yeah. So they made the correct choice. But again, looking at that attachment, there's been a big debate on Facebook recently about how that fight would have gone, or how Behemoth would have faced off against Tombstone, I think, which brought up this fight quite a lot. Obviously, Behemoth is not going to do very well against Tombstone. But having said that, you look at the aluminium scoop that it's got and how it's actually surprisingly thick and sturdy for being quite a soft metal. Pictures of that post-fight, and it's basically intact.
I also do want to point out as well that it's probably the first use of actual stealth we've seen in Robot Wars Arena. It is the sneakiest of boys. They're doing everything within legality.
I mean, yeah, it's true. I mean, literally, as I said before, what could Nuts 2 realistically do to Behemoth? Because its sides are armoured well enough to deflect the Nuts 2's flails. There's nothing protruding that Nuts 2 could hit. So the Nuts 2 red minibot took one for the team and saved the Nuts 2 from losing.
Now, hold on, Ned. I'll tell you what would happen. Nuts 2 red minibot would get underneath Behemoth, and Nuts 2 would then beat it to death. Obviously, how can you doubt that kind of power?
Charlie, if you are listening to this, put the godly Nuts 2 red minibot in the BattleBots pack, please.
Yes, as a heavyweight on its own.
Yes, you've put Mastiff in there. We need this. It's a godly robot, and you need to put it in the pack.
In terms of recording tonight, we've had the team salty about the result of the match, the Bolt from the Blue. We've had the BattleBots veteran, the Warrior Clan, and we've had the robot that should go in the pack, the Mastiff. This is basically the Flipping Failures episodes remade.
Oh my fucking god!
I love how we went from the heaviest conversation we've ever had on ESC to possibly the stupidest.
I'm going to be very unbiased here and very factual and say that if the Nuts 2 red minibot doesn't go to the arena, I'm quitting ESC.
Thank you.
It's not an opinion, Ned. That's fact.
I mean, we don't just need a 3-0 for the Nuts 2 Red Minibot. We need a 5-0. Nay, we need as many people to put the Nuts 2 Red Minibots into the arena as possible. Assemble!
Nuts 2 Red Minibot Arena.
I'm Jevon Woodrow, and I think the Nuts 2 Red Minibot should go to the arena.
I'm Ryan from Cinderproof. Nuts 2 Red Minibot to the arena.
Mark Smith from Dundee. Nuts 2 Red Minibot to the arena.
I am Ben Hassan. Nuts 2 Red Minibot to the arena.
Hello, my name is Jeroen van Lievelo. Nuts Minibots to the arena.
This is Jen Herkenroder from Hijinks. The Nuts 2 Red Minibot should go to the arena.
Hi, I'm David. I build Lego robots online, and I think the Red Minibot should go to the arena.
My name is Sam, and the Nuts 2 Minibot needs to go to the arena.
I'm Sarah from Nelly the Ellybot, and I think that the Nuts Red Minibot should be in the arena.
Hello, Samuel Grassoff, and Nuts 2 Red Minibot in the arena.
Yes, I'm Nate from Bugglebot, Thunderchild, and I definitely have to agree. The Nuts 2 Red Minibot has to go into the arena.
Hi, my name is Anthony from Two Penny Milk, and I think the Red Minibot go into the arena.
Okay, I'm Anderson9132. You may know me for being that 26-year-old fat twat who plays with toys online for fun. The fact that that's not the point where must be becoming a better. And the word not to deserves to go into the arena because the word is called the World Family.
I'm Chris from the Chomp Posting Mod team, and I think the Nuts 2 Minibot should go to the arena.
I'm Gingermatic, and I'm sending the Nuts 2 Red Minibot to the arena.
I'm Aiden from the Voltergeist team, and the Red Minibot from Nuts deserves to go in the arena.
Hi everybody, my name is Natasha from Team Voltergeist, and the Red Minibot from Nuts deserves to go into the arena.
Hello, my name is the Tentacester. You may know me from such shows as Bugglebots and Antway Anarchy and the Gingermatic podcast. I am here to say that the Nuts 2 Red Minibot belongs in the arena in the sky. P.S. Gingermatic can suck eggs.
This is Charlie Hubbard of Good Rebuttal, and I'm here to say that you should send the Red Sneaky Boy up to the arena.
Hey, I'm James Pearson. You might know me from my Beetleweight Catalyst, which was in Bugglebot Series 2, or my other Beetleweight Dwayne Nibley, which wasn't. I'm also on the Nelly the Ellybot BattleBots team for 2020, so Nuts 2, Red Minibot to the arena.
I am Dr. Neroli, creator of Gary's Mod fighting robot Tenderlock. Nuts 2 Red Minibot to the arena.
Hi, I am MLBK, also known as Tom. You might know me as the guy behind Team Mole, aka Deadbot, or if you're from the Robo Arena 2 community, the fucker who built Slapshot. And I am so happy I get to say this. Nuts 2's Red Minibot is going to the arena.
Hey up lads, I'm Dickhead General. I think that the Nuts 2 Red Minibot is as good as Marcus Ebor's. Goes straight to the arena. So with that out of the way, and with the most amount of votes I think we've ever had, with not a single one to the pit, I'm not going to attempt to count. I'm sure you can allow me this one small allowance. The Nuts 2 Red Minibot goes to the highest point of the arena we've ever put anything ever. Ned, what the fuck? You Avengers assembled half the Robotics into voting for
Thank you, that's why I'm here.
Nuts 2 Red Minibot. I mean, we all agreed.
For the crowd at home, I just want to point out, I'm fairly certain like half of this recording that's going to have to get cut out is just me laughing my ass off at everything.
Oh, don't forget about Darth Anderson as well. That's going to have to get
Yes! We're keeping all that in. That's beautiful. That is a work of art. To our audio listeners, we do apologise, but also we really don't. we regret nothing.
With that on the table, we have had today Chomp, because I can't remember the first one now. I'm so tired. We're getting another Rockabye Reira episode. Battle Rat. We put Battle Rat 0 and 3 in the pit. We put Chomp 1 and 2 in the pit, and it's heartbreaking to say so, and I will be getting some vengeance on you, Oliver.
I genuinely, Reira, I'm not committed to this. You can try and like and villainize me as much as you like, but that was genuinely one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make on ESC.
Yep, and probably one of the deepest cuts we've ever had.
This
on
is like the
ESC
old
as
Elder
well.
Scrolls games. Even if you didn't mean it, the prophecy has been severed.
And to wrap things up, we have the Nuts 2 Red Minibot going to the arena with
24
votes against 0. So, with that all done, Ned, our wonderful Neditor, our guest, where can people find you when you're not editing ESC?
Right. So, More of the Man is my personal Instagram. It is it is quite a lot of my handles. I can be found on a group where we all pretend to be a BattleBots filming. Join that group; it is amazing. I'm a Chomp hosting mod. I am also the showrunner basically for a Bottle Wars, so you can probably find me there doing stuff like that too.
Oliver, where can people find you?
You can find me in the usual place over on Facebook at Team Motte and Bailey. By this time this video comes out, I will almost certainly have finished my new Beetle and will have a sexy new drive test video up on Facebook, waiting for the day when we can go back to events. Please, that's my wish right now.
Sean, our wonderful new host, you've done a fantastic job with introducing yourself to the fandom tonight. Where can people find you?
Well, my YouTube channel, TheDominusIgnis, people have been starting to tell me about how I'm getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, which I'm still not acknowledging that just yet. We're nowhere near close enough just yet. I mean, if you subscribe, we'll be closer. And my other social media handles can be found on my channel, Twitter and Instagram.
And for me, you can find me Shunt Posting mod as a BattleBots group mod. You could find me at Trans-Cendant Robotics, where we're working really hard and got holy ready to destroy whatever it is that Oliver's built. And you can also now find me on the Lotus Bloom MTG channel, running my new podcast, Stencia Cafe, which is a Magic the Gathering and super chill chat podcast, all about the sort of things that you'd never expect to happen at Magic, but people genuinely have happened to them. Super cool, check it out. But most importantly, you can find ESC on Facebook. You can find ESC via my Twitter most of the time, Reira the Bird. I will post out when new videos are up, etc. I've been really shit at doing that, but I will be getting better at it, I promise. And you could also find us on YouTube, where you're hopefully listening to us now, where you need to like, comment, subscribe, and smash that motherfucking bell.
And join us in a couple of weeks, where we will be tackling big personalities of the sport with none other than Mr. Hypershock himself, Will Bales.
I can't believe we got Will Bales!
I still don't believe it.
And we recorded it about 4 hours ago.
Yeah, and I still don't believe it. I'm hallucinating.
Sean, wake up, you've been in a coma for 3 years. Yeah.
Wake up and I find that my channel's still at like 100 subscribers. Sean, you're still on the Silocraft server from 2014.
All right, everyone, thank you very much for a wonderful episode. This has been brilliant, and Avengers Assemble is possibly the highlight of ESC. Good night.
We will see you all in the near future.
Fuck the Nuts 2
Bye.
White Minibot.
Bye.